What is an important piece of advice you can give for those moving into the real world? Just because you have the money to buy something doesn't mean that you can afford it. The intensity of your social life will likely change, and this is mostly a good thing, but be prepared for it. Being outside of school means you are free from a lot of the weird drama that comes with doing everything in a closed system with roughly the same people. There is still drama, but you can almost always escape it because your life is divided now. You don't live with all your friends and work with them. On the other hand, making new social connections is a new challenge because you aren't thrown into a closed system with people all at your stage of life with many of the same problems. But making friends definitely happens. For me, wherever I was in life, it always took me about 1 year to make one new close friend. Patience is key. I would say you make fewer social connections, but a lot of them are of higher quality. A last piece of advice: don't view work as your only source, or even your primary source, for friends, dates, and hookups. Try to keep part of your social life separate. College is the last time in life where everyone you know your age is roughly doing the same thing and experiencing the same challenges. From here on out, everyone's paths will differ, and that's okay. Some of your friends will get married or have children. Some won't. Work experiences and careers will be vastly different. You stop moving in lockstep with your peers. Be very careful of being dragged into any sort of workplace drama politics. That friendly coworker who is dishing you all the dirt as you learn the ropes is looking for allies. You have no obligation to hang out with these people in a social setting. Never stop learning. Keep up with your old hobbies and interests, and pick up new ones. Take classes, free ones and pay for those you can afford. Join groups for people with your interests so you can learn from them and learn from teaching them. I think it's just as important to avoid complacency. It is incredibly addictive, and if you're not someone who has a surplus of self-discipline, reversing the bad habit is going to be a bitch. Letting yourself having lazy days is fine and healthy, but keep yourself in check. They can quickly become the norm. Self-discipline is something I wish I had. How can one learn it? People say it's little by little, but yeah, that's the problem. Little by little requires discipline, which I lack. It's very much an environmental thing. That is, people with self-discipline put themselves, or happen to find themselves, in an environment where they can flourish. Those without it usually find themselves in environments that disallow it. Think very carefully first about curating your environment and mental state. For example, try to keep your room tidy. Try to take a walk in the woods if you can. You'll find that it's much easier to keep on top of things. Someone having willpower is a very misused term. It usually means someone grew up and continues to find themselves in environments where they aren't tempted as much. I think most people are lazy by nature. The trick is to put yourself in a position of accountability. Volunteer somewhere. You might even learn a new skill. Coach something you enjoy doing. You don't have to be great at it. Just being present is more than enough. Pay for a class so you are motivated to go to it. This is exactly the trick with things like going to the gym as well. I always tell people to just go inside. They don't have to do anything. They could just show up, sit down, and immediately leave for Dunkin' Donuts. 99% of the time they'll end up doing something small like walking on the treadmill or using a couple machines. Then the next time just have the same mindset. You don't have to do anything except go to the gym. Just being in the environment itself is enough of a motivator. Have a budget and stick to it. Know the difference between wanting something and needing something. Don't forget to add a treat yourself line in the budget. Don't focus on what other people have though. Stay in your lane and focused on you and yours. Get a cast iron skillet. Cast iron skillet is the most useful thing I own. Look after your teeth because they are expensive to fix. Toothpaste, a good toothbrush and dental floss are cheap, so use them well. Look after your credit rating. It is difficult to fix when it goes wrong, and also remember that things do go wrong, so perhaps have a small contingency available if you can. Learn to save and budget so you know how much you can use and save comfortably. Be good to yourself and look after mental health. Look after your teeth. Even if you think they're fine, they might not be. At 39 I'm paying the price. Never had any real problems. But proper dental care was never instilled in me, and by the time I realized that it was a hard habit to break, or make. And it's gradual. Really think about your mouth situation. I didn't realize how bad mine had gotten until I started getting better. You're not supposed to bleed. Your teeth should not be loose, at all. Hot and cold shouldn't bother you. You should be able to eat anything you want. I didn't realize how much I had compromised until I really started to actively think about it. Brush twice a day and floss once a day. It's okay to miss a day here and there, but it needs to happen. Dentist at least once a year. Twice is better. Yeah, problem is, it was the dentist that ducked up my mouth to begin with. If your dentist has long curling hairs coming from the tip of his nose, find a different dentist. Yes, don't be afraid of a second opinion. I ended up at one of those upcharge corporations, not a national chain, which made my 2 root canals cost $1,600. But the endodontist office copay was only $95 in a different situation. I finished my root canals, crown part, in Mexico because the dentist wanted another $1,000 for them. A coworker also went there and they suggested oral surgery to her for thousands before they even opened her mouth. Even though money goes in and out of your account automatically doesn't mean you never have to look at your bank account. Just a quick daily check of your balance and spendings will keep you out of a lot of troubles. This is an excellent tip. Money management feels completely different when it's an actual number and not an estimate in your head. Thank God most banks have mobile apps to where you can check your balances instantly. I'd be screwed if I didn't have that option. It's okay to say no. It's just a job, there will be others. Don't try fitting in if it requires you to break your personal values. Being respectful and polite is cool. Great comment. I feel as if a lot of people can struggle with simply saying no because they believe it is implied as mean, but in reality, it shouldn't be. Agreed. Also, and added to that, respect yourself. Seriously. Don't let people walk all over you, or talk down to you. It can quickly become the norm. Don't just react to things. Think critically. Take a few seconds to analyze situations and come up with conclusions. Always be self-aware and never let people use your emotions against you. When furnishing your home with stuff you find on the side of the road, it's fine to take hard things, tables, art, etc. But never pick up soft things, upholstered chairs, carpets. Even with hard things you have to be careful. Lots of places critters can hide even in tables. Get those big plastic bags and let them sit in that for a week or two, in hot sun if possible, and maybe with some diatomaceous earth. This shit is basically asbestos for insects. Fire also works for cleansing mattresses. And heretics smile. If you're unhappy with your job, put tons of effort into finding a new one ASAP. Also learn to recognize toxic work environments. I once saw a guy quit his job in under 4 hours, just noped right out. A few years back I saw a dude quit immediately after a bad meeting. It was about 10 tech people in meeting. Boss outlines vision of new product. Tech dude explains why this is not a good idea. Boss has a rant about how he can't have negative people on the team and maybe tech dude needs to step out of the meeting while they finish up. Tech dude leaves room, goes to his desk and writes resignation. Boss was surprised, "Why you quitting?" Tech dude, "You don't want my input, you don't respect my views." Assholes are always really surprised when people leave them. They can't believe it. Very rarely are assholes self-aware. The ones that are the scary ones. Because they just don't give a duck. The real world is actually really small. Be careful of burning bridges because you'd be surprised how easy it is to run into someone years and years after you last saw them. Here's the biggest mind-duck I've had related to this. I moved to a different town across the country for a new job. My current landlord is the mother of a girl I studied with in university on a separate continent. My rent is cheap. I live 8 minutes drive from work. The neighborhood is reasonably safe. Yet it's very accessible, which means I can invite friends to come over. I'd be fucked out of the perfect place to live had I been mean to this girl. When I was in uni I was super stressed. People would always say to me, if you're this stressed now, wait until you get out into the real world. I've been out in the real world for 2 decades now and it's been so much easier than uni. Go out there and enjoy post-uni life. If you're this stressed now, wait until you get out into the real world. This, by the way, is one of the worst things you can say. If someone is convinced that their situation will never get better, they'll look for other ways out. Ugh. My parents said that shit all the time. They also say shit like college will be the best years of your life because then you'll be in the real world where you'll be burdened with responsibilities all the time. If you're the kind of person who says stuff like this, it's time to reevaluate the way you live your life. Life isn't all fun and games, but it isn't supposed to be an endless torrent of stress and misery either. College was the worst time of my life. Not that it was bad, there was great people and I loved my degree classes, but it just wasn't enjoyable for me and I got super depressed. My job in my field? Now that's the shit. So many bills can be set on autopay that if you're well within your budget, it's hardly a responsibility beyond checking that it came through. Cleaning? Do it right as you make a mess and it'll hardly take more than a few hours a week. The real world is honestly pretty enjoyable if you can get settled. I can only foresee major medical issues and children destroying my comfort.